Welcome back, guys, to another election prediction video. This time it's the gubernatorial election slash governor races prediction. And let's get right into it. This is pretty fun to do. So, safe Republican states are just not even going to be that competitive at all. Not even South Dakota, even though she barely won in 2018. These states are just not even going to be that competitive. Oklahoma, you can make an argument because currently there's a Republican who it was a statewide official, just flipped to the Democratic Party that's running the Democratic primary here for governor. And I actually think she has a chance of actually shifting it to a likely race. It'll be pretty interesting to watch. Keep your eye on Oklahoma. It's kind of interesting what's going on here. And she might actually have a chance at becoming a Democratic governor here in deep red Oklahoma. And that's what's unique about governor's races. I mean, any candidate really has a chance. It depends on how well that party, the incumbent party, is running the state. I forgot to do New Jersey and Virginia. Those are elections set in 2021. So let's get right into this. Illinois, California, New York, not even going to be competitive. Massachusetts, not even going to be competitive because a Trump candidate is running in this state, and I really don't think they have a chance at all. In the state of Rhode Island, currently it's an open race, which makes it likely. So any party could really have a shot here, but it's probably likely Democratic currently. Same with Connecticut, even though it's not an open race, the governor here barely won re-election in 2018, so keep an eye on there. State of Maryland is going to be a Democratic flip. Larry Hogan is term limited. He cannot run for re-election here, and I'm not really sure the Republicans have any really solid candidates to keep this seat in their hands. I think it's probably going to flip Democratic in 2022. Vermont, New Hampshire, probably not going to be competitive at all. You got Phil Scott, a very popular Vermont governor here, even though he's a Republican. He's a liberal Republican, so that's why he's winning by such a large margin. Chris Sununu is also a really bipartisan governor here. Slightly, he's like a centrist, so he's probably going to easily win re-election like he did last time. State of Maine expected to be a narrow Democratic advantage. Currently, that's what the polling suggests, that Jeanette Mills will probably be reelected here. I don't really think the Republicans really have a shot here, especially if they rerun their last governor that lost by such a large margin in the 2018 election. If they rerun him, he's probably going to get destroyed again. The state of Kansas, this is the one thing. I'm not really sure the Democrat has that much of a chance here, but she is an incumbent. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. She'll get to a likely margin, probably a 7-point loss here just because of the Republican advantage in that state. Hawaii, I expect to go to the Democrats by a solidly Democratic margin. I really don't think the Republicans have any good candidates there to run. Texas, we have Beto O'Rourke running for the Democrats. He's a very energizing candidate, and he may have potential to flip this state, but I don't know. He took such far left political positions, like taking away assault rifles, that's probably not even going to budge Texas to even lean. I just feel like he really failed in the 2020 Democratic Party by going so far to the left, and Texas is a very right-wing state. I mean, you could say it's center-right, but even then, like, Beto's really out of touch with voters here, and he should have never really probably ran in the 2020 Democratic primary, because now they view him a lot differently here. State of Florida, Ron DeSantis is probably going to win re-election by a likely margin. Based on the current polling, we have seen Charlie Crist is probably the best Democrat to run here. If it's Nikki Fried, it has a potential even going solidly Republican by over 10%. However, I'm assuming Charlie Crist wins the primary there, and he'll probably lose the general by a likely margin, just because of the current Republican advantage in the midterms. State of Ohio, if the Republicans get rid of their current popular incumbent governor, it could go to lean, possibly. But I'm assuming he wins the primary, probably wins re-election by a likely margin instead of safe, because those far-right Trump voters are distancing themselves from him. State of Iowa, I'm not really sure it's going to be that competitive at all. I really don't think there's any good governor candidates there, and honestly, it probably might be just safe Republican. I really don't think the Democrats will have a chance at winning the state. Honestly, I think she's probably going to easily get reelected here. Okay, the state of Alaska. I mean, there's currently an independent running here, and he's a very strong independent. I think he's a former governor here, and he probably has a chance at possibly winning the state based on the polling I've seen, but I think it's going to be a lean Republican advantage just based on the current midterm energy. State of Oregon's going to be a little bit competitive based on the polling and the approval rating here, and it'll be an interesting race to watch, but the Republicans might have a chance at winning the state, so keep an eye on that. State of Colorado, probably going to be a likely margin. Currently, I really don't think the Republicans have any good candidates to run here. Let's get to the next state. New Mexico, I currently expect to be a lean Democratic margin. I don't think the Republicans are going to flip it. I mean, the Democrat currently has a 1 to 2% like positive approval rating, which is not so good for a Democrat here. And keep an eye on this race, but I think it's going to be still a lean Democratic advantage. The state of Arizona is very interesting. Currently, no candidate. There's a lot of undecideds here. No candidate really has that big of a lead. But I think it's going to be a tilt Republican advantage currently. The Democrats have a real shot at winning this race. They should invest a lot into it. The state of Nevada, currently the governor, Steve Sisolak, is fairly popular, and he'll probably hold on by a tilt margin, but the Republicans have a chance at winning this seat. So keep an eye on this governor's race, but I think the Democrat will have a narrow advantage there. The state of Wisconsin, I really don't expect the Democratic governor to get reelected here. His approval rating has gone down the tank. Tony Evers. It's going to be a real fight for him to get reelected, especially the Republican advantage coming into the 2022 midterms. So that's why I think the Republicans are going to flip it by a lean margin. Next state, Minnesota. The Democrats' lead, it used to be a likely in the last prediction. Now it's shifting to only a lean margin, just because the Democratic governor's approval rating has gone significantly down, and in the polling, it's even showing that. So it's probably going to still be a lean Democratic advantage, but keep an eye on this race. It's just now got competitive. State of Michigan, probably the most competitive race in 2022. I think it's a narrow Democratic advantage based on the current polling I've seen. Gretchen Whitmer is winning by a pretty big margin when the polls, but you could say it's an outlier. And other polling showed it's a very close race, but I think it's a tilt Democratic advantage currently. So I think she'll get reelected barely. It'll be a very big fight. State of Pennsylvania, again, you have a pretty strong Democratic candidate running here. Josh Shapiro, he has an honestly good chance at winning this seat, but I think the Republicans currently have a slight advantage here just because there hasn't been a Republican governor in about 8 years here, and they usually flip every 8 years. And it's really hard for a party to get 12 years of party control in the state of Pennsylvania. Plus, it's a Republican advantage in the midterms, and I think they'll have that advantage in Pennsylvania. State of Georgia with Stacey Abrams. Well, if Brian Kemp manages to win the Republican primary, I think it'll be tilt Republican. However, if David Perdue wins the Republican primary, I think he's going to lose again to Stacey Abrams, as he lost to John Ossoff in the 2020 Senate election. So it depends on which Republican primary candidate wins. Currently, I think David Perdue has a slight advantage, which means I think Abrams would have a slight advantage over him. So that's my governor's prediction in 2022. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.